We ask ourselves how or what, it puts us in our head. But when we ask ourselves why, it activates the heart, it activates the human spirit, and the human spirit is powerful beyond measure. So my why was, I did not want my daughters to grow up with seeing me thinking like a victim. I wanted them to see me be the victor of my life and be an example of resilience. So when they went through anything hard, they knew that they would know that they can get through hard things too, and that they can thrive no matter what.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Say Yes Anyway podcast. So happy to be back. These are conversations from the heart where, we have to say yes to those things that are deep down inside of us that maybe the world doesn't know, maybe we don't know why, maybe nobody can explain, but it's there for a reason. And hey, it allows us to get to the other side exactly where we are today, and it wouldn't have happened without that yes. And so during this episode, I hope that you really think about, what is that yes inside of me that I have to say yes to? Maybe I've been neglecting it. Maybe there's a still small voice that's speaking to you, but there's something that you have to listen to. And I hope that this episode doesn't just inspire you, but really empowers you into action. And today I'm so excited. I have this amazing woman, Amberley Lago. She's a motivational speaker and best-selling author. She's got a new book. I'm excited that we get to talk about it. She's been on the Today Show, TEDx, NBC, and so much more. She's a beacon of light everywhere that she goes. She's known for her resilience. And one day she had a tragic accident with 34 surgeries later and almost gave up hope. And now she helps people know that they can change their life and empowers people around the world by sharing the story of how she turned tragedy into triumph. So, Amberley, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on, and thank you for that amazing introduction. You're so
Of
kind.
course. Of course. And I was just telling Amberly offline that the way that I heard about her was a while back from one of my friends and mentors, Mitch Matthews, and hers as well. And when I was hearing her story, I just had chills everywhere. And I just
Oh,
knew that more stories like this had to get out. And so I reached out to her right away and I was like, we have to get you on the podcast. So I'm super thankful, really grateful. I know that so many people are going to be, just empowered in so many ways. We don't know what people are going through right now. And so whoever's listening, if you're going through the worst time of your life, if you're going through a great time of your life, you just don't know when something can hit and where you need that extra spark and encouragement. So you are going to be very, very, very blessed by today. Thank you. Amberly, the first thing that I actually would personally love to know about you is what you love about yourself and your life right now.
wow, that's a good question. What do I love about myself and my life? Well, I love that I get to work with incredible female entrepreneurs, and I get to see them break through barriers and shatter limiting beliefs
Mm,
and step on stage to share their amazing stories, write their books, do their podcast. And I think um, what I love about me is probably that I can look at a lot of situations that some people might be discouraged by, or they might have associated with being a failure, or maybe something negative. And
mm,
I have a way of quickly looking at it as, what can I learn? How can I grow? What can I do next?
mm,
And so I think that I've always just quickly kind of, trained my mind to be optimistic and quickly catch any negative beliefs or thoughts that come up, and know how to shift those things so that I can be more resilient. And not to say that, because I do have negative thoughts, don't get me wrong.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do have the inner bully, or the inner, that inner critic in me that can create self-doubt or make me feel like, oh, I'm just not good enough, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there are ways to get through those moments. And I guess that's what I love, that I've been able to kind of turn those things around.
Wow. So do you think you've always been that way, or did that come through your story and things that have happened to you?
I think that growing up, I mean, most of us don't have a perfect childhood by any means, but
Mhm.
my mom and dad did the best they could with what they have. My mom's amazing. I have a great
Mhm.
relationship with her, and I have a great relationship with my dad now, but they divorced when I was young. So that was hard. But then I was sexually abused by my stepfather. And so there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of frustration. And as a child, I did whatever made me feel better. And so, what made me feel better was dancing. I turned to athleticism. I really dove deep into school. I strived to be, an honor student. I became kind of an overachiever, but
Mhm.
that is what I did, whatever I could do to make me feel better. And I'm glad that I went that route rather than trying to numb out. And I guess
Mhm.
it was, I guess looking back, it was kind of a way to numb out the pain. But I felt like it was a healthy way. And I think all the hard things that I went through as a kid really kind of prepared me for things that I've gone through now that have been really
Mhm.
hard. And I think that everything that we go through, that we can grow through it. And so I think that as a kid, I remember the first time that I really experienced joy. And I didn't even know what that was or what the meaning of the word joy was, but I remember football's big in Texas, and it was a Friday night after a football game. And every Friday night after a game, I don't know why, but my mom would let me go to the Dairy Queen. And
Mhm.
it was all with all the people in the band and some of the cheerleaders and some of the people that had gone to the game. And they'd put music in the jukebox and I would start dancing, and then they would lift me up, put me on the tabletop, and I would just dance. And
Oh.
I noticed the smiles that people had and the sparkle in their eye, and how they would start clapping along with the music and dancing along with the music. And I remember thinking, wow, this is joy. And it wasn't that it was because I was dancing and they were looking at me. It was because I was looking at them and the smiles
Mm.
on their faces and the sparkle in their eye. And so I still dance around. I mean, I got to the
Mm.
gym super early this morning and I realized I was in between sets and I was dancing along. So I still dance. It still brings me joy. And I went to dinner. There was this one time I went to dinner and it was all these entrepreneurs. And I'm talking, these guys were all billionaire
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. They highly successful. And there was me, and I take my daughter along with me to work things as much as I can. So my daughter is sitting beside me, and one of the guys goes, Ruby, what is something that your mom does that just really embarrasses you? And she goes, without hesitation, she just goes, she dances all the time. Everywhere we go, she dances at the market, down the aisle, in Target. She just
Oh my
dances
gosh.
everywhere.
Yes.
And I said, well, because it makes me happy. It brings me joy. I feel filled with joy when I'm dancing. And, movement moves your mood. So I say,
Mhm.
do whatever makes you feel good and brings you joy.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm actually the exact same way. When I was younger, I used to put on these I used to get all the kids from the block, come together, do choreography. I was never really a professional dancer, but like, we're gonna do this dance. And then in front of our families and parents and friends, and it just brought this, I mean, yeah, you said it brought this joy. And so I'm the same way where now sometimes I'll go do a workout and I'm like, okay, really, I just needed to dance, or I'll be on my rollerblades and I'm like, I just need to dance while on the rollerblades. There's something to it. So I'm so glad I'm not alone. I'm that weird one too.
Oh, I love that. I love that you organize the people, like all the kids in the block, like we are going to do a dance and
Oh
we're going to,
yeah.
yeah, I
Oh
love
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. So good. So then tell us a little bit about the journey too of I know you talk about your childhood and what you've been through there, and then to build resilience, which then, you become an adult and there's more hardships that come. And so What have been some things that you've had to say yes to that made no sense, that were maybe the most difficult, hardest things, didn't make sense to you or anybody else?
Well, you know what? I think a lot of times people think that, so I had a motorcycle accident that nearly killed me. And a lot of times people think that that was the hardest thing that I've ever been through. But
Mm.
honestly, the hardest thing and the darkest time of my life was when, I went from being this elite athlete to being a full blown alcoholic. So I
Mm.
was diagnosed with an incurable nerve disease, and it's called CRPS. It's ranked highest on the pain scale, and there's apparently no known cure for
What
it.
does that stand for?
Complex regional pain syndrome. And it's
Huh.
basically when your sympathetic nervous system is all out of whack, and there's just this constant loop of pain. Like for instance, I have my shoe off it's in my right leg. I have my shoe off on my right foot. I take it, I don't even realize it, but because having anything tight on my leg or my foot can give me a CRPS flare up,
Mm.
I'll be driving and realize I've taken my shoe off on my right foot. Or like I woke up the other day and it was really cold. And so I had socks on to sleep in to keep my feet warm. I woke up and I had taken in the middle of the night, taken off that sock in the middle of the night. Um, and so I had turned, I'd tried all these treatments. I mean, I'm talking, I had never done a drug in my life, and now I'm doing ketamine. They were infusing me with ketamine to try to reboot my nervous system. I had a spinal stimulator where they implant these metal leads into your back, spinal blocks, spinal radio frequency, Eastern, Western medicine. I mean, at one time I was on 73 homeopathic pills and 11 different prescriptions, and nothing was working. And so I remember drinking some wine going, wow, this kind of helps numb the pain and kind of helps me stuff down the feelings of shame and how much I hated myself and the way that I looked. I mean, my
Mm.
legs completely scarred up from the hip down. And I remember thinking, I know this isn't the best thing for me to drink, but if this is what I have to do every day just to get out of pain, well, then I guess it's what I have to do. And then before long, one glass led to two to three to a whole bottle. And then I became physically dependent
Mm.
on it. And I had to really, it was the hardest time of my life. I was to the point where I thought my kids could find a better mom.
Wow.
I don't belong on this earth. My husband doesn't deserve this. He deserves uh, a better wife. And I remember just thinking I had to get down on my knees and pray.
Mm.
And I was like, this cannot be the rest of my life. Like, I can't, I need help.
Mm.
And I had to say yes to getting help,
Mm.
yes to really acknowledging, like being radically honest with myself that I had a problem.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, because I said yes to getting help, I got sober in 2016 and
Mm.
started to rebuild my life. And now I'm just grateful for the life that I have, for the health that I have, for the relationships that I have. And it just took being radically honest, saying yes to receiving help and asking help for help, and and now constantly saying yes whenever I'm asked to be of service to anything with recovery. And it's
Mm.
interesting because in recovery, you are taught to say yes anytime you're asked. If they ask you, hey, we need you to make the coffee at the meeting. Yes, I'll do it. Hey, we need you to be a greeter for this meeting. Hey, yes, I'll do it. Hey, could you speak or share or lead this meeting? Yes, I will do it. And
Mhm.
that's how there's a saying, you keep your sobriety by giving it away. And
Mm.
so when you can be of service to others in their sobriety, that's how you get to stay sober, by
Mm.
saying yes to others.
Mm. Wow. There's so much in there. But do you go to AA meetings? Is that the
Uh,
meetings that you're referring to, or are they different types?
no, I do go to AA. I just don't usually say Alcoholics Anonymous, because it's traditions not to talk about, um, AA. It's not supposed to be like promotional. And I mean, I
Mm,
can understand why it was,
right, I understand.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, even in my book, so in my new book, I looked, so, oh man, it was a journey. The
Mm,
joy through the journey has been a journey,
yeah. Yeah. Oh
writing
my
a book,
gosh.
but I had to edit everything. And then they sent me the index, and I even had to edit the index. And I noticed, oh my gosh, there's Alcoholics Anonymous written in here. And I wrote back, and it was being sent off to the printers. I was like, no, 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 no. You have to take this out of here. I'm not supposed to write about this or talk about it in radio or press. It's against AA traditions. And so they were able to take that out. But I was like, oh my gosh, my sponsor is just going to kill me.
I was just more curious because I go to Al-Anon due to loved ones and then the recovery for myself. So we're all in recovery. So it's I
Wow.
understand the journey. I very well understand the journey. Maybe not from your sense, but
Yeah. But
recovery
you know
journey.
what?
Yeah.
Thank you for
Hmm.
going to Al Anon, because
Hmm.
most people don't.
Totally. Well, I am curious with you then. So you said that most people think it was your motorcycle accident that was the hardest, but it was, going from this disease to the alcoholism. Did the motorcycle happen later down the road, or was that around the same time?
No, I had the motorcycle accident as a result of the motorcycle accident. I mean, I was at the height of my career. I was sponsored by Nike. I was regularly contributing to Shape and Health magazine. I was doing infomercials. It was crazy. Like if you went to any Rite Aid or CVS, looked the vitamin labels, my picture was on the label of vitamins. I was at the height of my career, and I had this motorcycle accident and lost everything. I mean, I was in and out of a wheelchair for years, in and out of surgeries for years. And I was diagnosed after my motorcycle accident I guess it was about 3.5, 4 months after the accident, when I was diagnosed with a nerve disease as a result of the accident, and told
Oh,
that I would never be, needed to get back in my wheelchair. I'd never walk again. I'd never work again. I'd be permanently disabled, and
wow.
that there was no known cure. So it was really a kick in the gut. And I was in denial about it for a long time. And I just kept trying to like pretend I didn't have it. I went to three
Mm.
different doctors hoping they would tell me something different. And all of them said, no, you got it. Finally, the third doctor said, you need to take radical action and try to treat this. And when nothing was working, that's when I turned to drinking,
Oh,
try to
wow.
numb it out. So it went motorcycle accident, diagnosis, alcoholism, just going to recovery and getting my life back.
Wow. So that literally sounds like, just like you said, everything basically stripped from you. From what you've known, you're planning on a whole different life. And then all of a sudden that happens. So what is that journey kind of like for even your family? Like you guys, your family, like how are you navigating this? Oh shoot, I have to live this new life. What is this going to look like? What was part of that journey?
Well, I feel very fortunate that I have an amazing husband.
Mm,
I mean, he has stuck by me.
mm,
Ah, man, I've put him through it. I mean, he was at the hospital twice a day, every day for the first time I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. Um, then other things happened along, like I remember I fell down the stairs on my crutches after, the accident, and my leg was, shattered into pieces, and I fell down the stairs and broke my wrist. So now I had a broken leg and broken wrist. And it got to the point where he would just kind of slow down and be like, okay, get out of the car, go do go do
mm,
go do the other surgery or whatever. But I mean, any kind, it affects everybody, you know.
Mm.
First of all, going through that accident, we had $2.9 million worth of medical expenses. We had a
Wow.
lien on our house. I was the main breadwinner, and I went from being the main breadwinner to I was out of work for a year and a half. So it affected all of us. My youngest daughter was only 2 years old. My oldest daughter was about to be a freshman in high school.
Mm.
And she told me the other day, it wasn't that long ago that she told me, she goes, "Yeah, mom, you know, that was so traumatic for me growing up,
Mm.
seeing that and dealing with that." And because I was always her rock,
Totally. Yeah, it's like when that person that's the rock and they have it all together, or like life is going good, breadwinner, and then that happens.
then
It's
I'm in a
like,
coma.
right.
Yeah, it really
Wow.
shook her world. And she
Mhm.
said, and and that's when I just, to deal with it, I just really started studying, and I got super intense about all my studies. And I said, well, good. I said, you know what? It could have been
It
worse.
could have been way
I said,
worse than that.
I said, and look at
You're
you
like, you could
now.
have been an alcoholic like me.
You could have been an alcoholic like me. I was like, instead, you're going to Yale and you're in medical school. So, see, there is good. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You are going to be a doctor because of this accident. No, I
Yeah,
was
do
just
you
giving
think that
her a
she
hard
went
time.
that route because of the
Yeah.
accident in
Oh, yeah.
medicine?
I
Wow.
asked her, I said, what made you decide to go to medical school? Because she was always very into art. She's an incredible artist.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, mom, you did. Seeing you go through all those surgeries. And then, my youngest daughter, she is so sweet. I mean,
Mm.
she's a little ornery, but she is tough as nails. She is so empathetic. In fact, she got an award at school. They give awards for most school spirit, most pride, best
Right.
attendance. She got an award for having the most empathy.
Wow.
And
I'm glad they even have awards like that.
yeah, I was like, wow, that touched me that,
Mm.
she is so loving and so
Mm.
caring, and she's got grit, man. She's
Mm.
tough.
Mm.
I mean, she was actually she's really sick right now, and my husband, I'll say he's retired, so he is helps out with her while I'm working, and he took her to the hospital. She's been to urgent care twice in the last couple of
Gosh,
weeks,
I'm
and she
so
just hadn't been
sorry.
getting better. And so he took her to the emergency room, and she's got tonsillitis, and she's just so tough, you
Hmm.
know. So and now she's a horseback rider.
Hmm.
Man, she'll get thrown off that horse and she doesn't even stop to brush the dirt off. She just gets back on the horse, you know.
Wow.
So
Well, that
I
goes to
think
show from going from being the rock, you being the rock, you have to show them how to get through with, I mean, even back there, grit and grace. So what does that even mean to you, grit and grace?
well, that is the name of my first book. It's
Mhm.
called True Grit and Grace, and I wrote it as a memoir meant to inspire. And it really, actually, my editor read it and said, this is a love story. I'm like, this is not a love story. This is a story about grit and grace. And he's like, no, this is a love story. I mean, I
Hmm.
guess the way that I speak about my husband and how he shows up for me and how we show up for each other, I guess some people could look at it as a love story, but I wrote it meant to give people hope. And I thought, well, if I went through all of this and if I can just touch one person and give them hope and inspiration to keep moving forward, then I'm going to write this book. But the grit is just the constant, continual work that it took to get out of a hospital bed, to learn to walk again, to learn to work again, to completely reinvent myself, especially when we had, $2.9 million worth of medical expenses and the lien on our house. I mean, that was some
Mm.
grit to get out of that debt. And the grace is a lot. The grace is God's grace,
Mhm.
but it's also the grace that we give ourselves and it's God's mercy.
Yeah.
And boy, I know I've sure made a lot of mistakes. And every morning, the first thing I do when I wake up is I get on my knees and I pray and ask God to walk with me throughout the day, to hold my hand throughout the day. And then when I go to bed, I pray. Usually, a lot of times it is thank you, thank you, thank you for keeping me sober today. Because if I can
Oh,
stay
that's so
sober, I
awesome.
can get through anything. Just
Wow.
please keep me sober. Please lift any obsession. And I never in a million years would have thought that I would ever be saying a prayer like that,
Yeah.
because I was always the athlete. I was the go getter. I was never the partier. While my friends were partying and going bar hopping, I was busting my butt working 4 jobs.
Hmm.
I never was that girl that, I was sneaking my drinking. It wasn't going to bars. It was like I was trying to self medicate to numb the pain, but I could not stay sober without God's grace. And
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be where I am today and be able to, buy a home for the family and, horseback riding lessons for my daughter if I didn't have that grit and wasn't able to work hard for long periods of time. That's for sure.
Something I'm really excited to share with you guys is something that's been really transforming my health and well-being. And I've been healing because of Cured Nutrition has been one supplement that has been helping me a lot. Something that I really love about them is that they are, instead of about going and just popping pills to, create a band-aid over what's going on, they're using natural ingredients to really actually heal your body. And that is what is so, so, so incredibly important to me. So the first one that I really love, if you go to curednutrition.com, is the night caps. This one has a full spectrum CBD and CBN that supports the body's natural sleep rhythms throughout the night for deep, deep restorative sleep. And it also has an MCT carrier oil to make sure that you have optimal absorption. Basically, think about CBD helping with all of the aches and the pains, and CBN kind of as if it has that massive blanket on your body that takes you into that deep, deep sleep. Then the second thing that I really love is the Serenity gummies. This to me, one, it just tastes really good. And second, this has been helping so much with my stress response as well as being calm throughout the day. It has the L-theanine. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It relaxes the brain without inducing any kind of drowsiness, and it really helps with that attention and mental alertness that I really, really love. It also has a tiny microdose of THC in there, but it does not have the ability to give you a high. And so just taking a couple capsules, a couple gummies is not going to give you a high. That's not the purpose of it. And it also has reishi, which encourages your healthy cortisol levels. And all of us these days have so much stress going on in our lives, and we need that support. Same as ashwagandha, helps with the levels of stress and promotes relaxation. So I recommend honestly buying them together, the nightcap with the Serenity gummies, taking the Serenity gummies maybe once or twice a day, and then the nightcaps one time before you go to bed. And I have had deep, deep sleep. I've also just had this calmness, and I've actually taken the gummies right before bed, and that's also really helped me have a deeper sleep as well. So you can go to their website, curednutrition.com. I have a code. It is JESSDAHL, JESSDAHL, and you will receive a discount. And anyway, I'm excited because I love sharing the things that have transformed my life or helped me in my own health and well-being or recovery. And this has helped me a ton. So go to their website, go and get whichever one you like. Let me know also how you liked it. I can't wait. Totally. Yeah, I saw this quote that you actually had on your website, and it talks about what your grandfather said. You have a shovel in your hand, and you can either lean on it and pray for a hole, or you can start digging. So, I mean, that's powerful just, in itself. But what did that mean to you at the time? And then what does that even like tangibly look like to dig, you know?
Well, I mean, his whole idea, he was so strong. He was such a good man. He passed away in October. It was just about 6 months after my motorcycle accident.
Mm.
And he was such a good man and a strong man and so highly respected. And he always gave good practical advice. And it was really his way of saying, you going to just think about it or pray about it, or you going to get to work? Like, I'm
Totally.
all about thinking about it. I'm all about journaling. I'm all about manifesting and praying. But you can't just sit back and think that
Yeah.
it's going to happen for you. You have got to do the work. I mean, I
Totally.
just had a client that messaged me today and said, I think I'm not going to focus my coaching on this type or this style of coaching with this type of person because I'm just not getting people that are signing up or whatever. And I thought, you've been sharing this for like 3 months. Like it
Hmm.
takes longer than three
Yeah.
months to
Yeah.
build a coaching business. I said,
Definitely.
I was like, do what you feel most aligned with. But I told her, I said, it took me a year to start getting traction with the new type of coaching I was doing. It
Totally.
took me a year. When I was in the fitness industry for 26 years, it took me a good solid year to get enough clients to where I could let go of what I was doing and go full time into training. It took
Yeah.
about 2 years for my business to be to where I was a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it took about 3 years to where I could say I had a successful, thriving business. Three
Yeah.
years. It was the
Totally.
same for my speaking. When I first started speaking, I just did a post about this, about how when I
Mm.
first started speaking, I spoke for free for almost 3 years. Like, I mean, I barely get paid a little, but I would speak at anywhere somebody would have me just so I could get my reps in, just so I could, build my credibility as a
Mhm.
speaker, make meaningful connections. And I think now a lot of times people see things on social media or on Instagram and they think it's easy.
Totally.
And no,
Or
you
you
got to
just
start
put one
digging.
post out there. If you get crickets, then I'm gonna move on. This is like too hard. It's like, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm with you on that. So when did that kind of shift from, well, I don't, so you were in the fitness industry and then everything happened to you. Then how did you get into, I guess, where you are more so today, into the writing and motivational speaking and coaching? Was it because of that and you wanted to help people through their pain that they had been through, or how did that part come about? Because that's a big
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah, it was a big transition. So I started working, well, actually, I started working when I was 8 years old. I had a babysitting business and I made some good money, $1 per kid, which was good when you're 8 years old.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy that I was 8 years old
That's crazy. You're
working.
gonna
By
go
the time I
babysit
was
your
in,
little kids. Yeah.
yeah, by the time I was in high school, I had 4 jobs. Because, if we wanted something, we had to work for it. I
Yeah.
didn't grow up with, we didn't have a lot of money. And so I started in a teacher training program when I was 13,
Mm,
or I'm sorry, actually 12, because by the time I was 13, I started teaching dance. And I taught dance from 13 until I graduated in Texas. And then I moved to California and I taught dance. I immediately got a job. The first 2 weeks I was in California, I had a job at two different dance studios where I had to audition to teach at the studio. And they put me right on the spot. And let me tell you, here I was 18 and I was teaching teenagers, adults, and kids. And I really had to earn their respect right away
mm,
teaching when they were about the same age as me. So I was used to working with people. And then when I started coaching clients, I also coached trainers. So I was used to coaching trainers on
mm,
how to do their business.
mhm,
Coaching clients was different because it was fitness. So the transition from that type of coaching, when I had worked with trainers and their businesses, was a little bit easier for me because I love working with people. But what I did was, I kept having people come up and tell me, you know, you should write a book. And I thought, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go take a class and learn how to write. And I'm telling you, when I wrote my first book, I didn't even own a computer.
Hmm.
This is 6 years
Wow.
ago. Did not own a computer. I hand wrote 90% of my book in a spiral
Wow.
notebook. I still love
Wow.
these spiral notebooks.
Yeah.
And I even, for my new book, would handwrite some of it. And it was different for me I couldn't type it on the keyboard. I could do it on my phone, but then I would have to put it on my computer because I was just like, I would get into that perfectionism of, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
misspelled, or, oh, there's not a space there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I wrote my book, I started having people ask me to speak. I'd never done any speaking. I'm like, who would want to hear from me? You know what I mean? But I started speaking, and then I started speaking more. And then I started having people say, hey, can you coach me and teach me how to speak? Can you teach me how do you write a book? And so I just started at first, it started out more as life coaching, and then that transitioned
Mm-hmm.
into coaching female. Well, I have some men that I coach, but transitioning into female entrepreneurs that really want to increase their influence, impact, and income. And what I do is I share exactly how I learned how to do my social media and build it
Mm-hmm.
from the ground up. Exactly what I learned in the publishing process, whether they're going to do a self-published book, traditional or hybrid published book. How do they get on stages? I teach them how to put together a keynote, how to put together a TED Talk, everything from how to put together your talk to how to your body language on stage, how to have
Yeah.
command presence. And so it just kind of transitioned into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I think that we're always kind of growing and evolving and seeing what feels like we're more aligned with. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that when I get to work with female entrepreneurs, that's what lights me up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm with
have
you.
oh, it just it I love it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I
Absolutely.
have to make myself get off the call. I'm like, oh yeah, shoot, we're going over. I
I
gotta
do the
take the
same
next
thing
one.
too. I'm like, dang it, we're gonna keep going forever.
I
So what do you,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But what do you think it takes? Because like if you could paint a picture of, okay, you're like in your bed basically, and then you're dealing with alcoholism, and then you're just like trying to make it, but where you are now, like that obviously takes a lot of grit and grace. So I know you just talked about, hey, there's a lot of people that think, all right, they can just post something. If they get no traction, then I'm moving on. But if you could paint a picture of like what it really took for you of like daily things or yeah, just like what does it actually take if somebody has some sort of dream or desire or something in their heart?
Well, I will say that there's a gift in desperation.
Mm,
I was desperate.
mm,
I was
good.
desperate, and the desperation is what led me to seek help. And
Mm,
I was willing. Somebody has to be willing
yeah,
to take advice, take suggestions, do the work, be consistent.
yeah.
And people even ask me a lot, like, oh, wow, how did you get your podcast to top 1% podcast? I'm not the best podcast. I'm not the best interviewer. I make mistakes. It's not perfect. You know what it was? I was just consistent.
Yeah.
I never missed 1 week in 5 years. I finally, after 5 years of the podcast, I took 2 weeks off, which
Mm,
that's rare.
mhm.
I was in the middle of book edits and call me crazy. I'm launching a new book and my annual event, Unstoppable Success Summit, at the same time. And it was the first time ever I was traveling for speaking events, and my team was like, do you have the podcast for this week? And I was like, oh, no, I sure don't. And I missed my forever first, for ever in almost 6 years. And
Mm,
so I think that it takes a real willingness to
mm,
do the work.
yeah,
And I think that it takes accountability.
yeah.
So, who can accountability to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Accountability maybe to somebody else. I believe that every coach needs a coach. I believe we need a mentor. We need a sponsor. We need a supportive community around us. I feel like, it's not just about gritting it out. What I've
Yeah.
learned the hard way, I had a lot of misconceptions
Yeah.
about grit. And I hit a lot of, man, I hit rock bottom trying to just
Yeah.
grit it out and
Well,
suck it up.
what do you think was your rock bottom? Because that's also something that I don't think that we can necessarily um, tell somebody, oh, like speaking from experience, sometimes I think my loved one is at their rock bottom and then they're not. And I'm like, dang,
Mm.
I thought that they would have wanted help by now. How can you be going through all this crap and not want the help yet? But we all have to get to our own sort of rock bottom for the willingness. So, what was yours? And then, how do people even know if they're at their rock bottom? I know you mentioned desperation, but yeah,
Yeah,
what's,
well, I think that it only you know what your rock bottom is. You know what I mean? And I have a lot of loved ones that I'm like, golly, when is that when are they going to hit their bottom and
yeah,
decide that they want a better life? Like
yeah,
when, I mean, I have my little brother's on death row here in Texas.
mm,
And thank God he's sober and he's found Jesus and he's uh, teaching the Bible in prison. But
yeah,
I mean, everybody has their own rock bottom.
totally.
Um, and I mean, I think, and it's hard. We can't really judge. We think, oh my gosh, that has got to be their rock bottom,
Yep.
but it's not. They keep digging,
Yeah,
but it's, digging in not a good way, like digging down and
totally. Like
down
digging
and
the hole and
down.
it going further and further. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's really like, for instance, I have a family member and another family member says, "Hey, well you're sober. Can you need to get them sober." And
Mm,
at first I was calling, I was trying, and I finally said, "You know what? If they want help, they know where I am.
totally.
They have to take responsibility, accountability, and want to do the work." And I realized that it takes not just grit, because grit without connection is resistance. It's
Mm,
just us hitting rock bottom, roadblocks, burnout. But grit with connection is where we find resilience.
mm,
And so I think that if we can, connect with um, passionate, trailblazing, positive, optimistic people who are lifting us up, who are that have good habits, that have good work ethics. But for me, I want to just say that it wasn't like I had this horrible accident and became an alcoholic, and then all of a sudden life is great and I have this
yeah.
booming career. And it was really setting small attainable goals, like for instance, I will tell you my first one of my very first goals. So we had a hospital bed in the living room because I was completely bedridden. I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I couldn't even stand up
Mm,
because of the pain. I had to keep my leg elevated at all times. And I remember when the physical therapist used to come over 5 days a week. And the first time she came over and she goes, "Oh, lift your leg up off the bed." And I couldn't lift it up. And I thought, oh my God, am I paralyzed? Like, why won't
yeah.
my leg lift up? And I was like willing it to lift up and it wouldn't lift up. And I would just think, well, when she comes next tomorrow, man, I am going to be able to lift my leg. And then it was like, okay, can I stand on one leg using
Mm,
crutches? And the pain was so unbearable. I could stand for 1 second at a time and I'd get back in bed and I'd have to lift my leg up in the air and I would just have tears coming down my face. And so the next day I was like, okay, I got to try for 3 seconds. I got to
mm,
try for 10 seconds at a time. And I would literally count 1,000, 1,000, and have tears coming down my face. And my goal was to be able to stand up long enough that I could hurry in my crutches to get around the corner to use the toilet on my own
Mm,
so I wouldn't have to use a bedpan.
wow.
If I would have thought about, I want to be able to run a marathon again,
Yeah,
I'd probably still be stuck in bed. I
totally.
had to set small, attainable goals
Hmm.
and then stick to it no matter how hard it was, no matter how painful it was, because I knew
Mm,
I wanted to be able to use the bathroom on my own. And I know
mm,
that sounds like so ridiculous that,
mm.
but it could apply to anything. Like
Yeah.
if you're a coach and you want a successful coaching career, start with adding value to one client,
Hmm.
solve their problem, and the money will come. If you could solve a problem, the money will come. And
Mm,
so I think so many people, they want things, but they're not willing to work hard for it. And you know
mm.
what? It takes that determination and perseverance and that
Yeah.
that commitment to really be successful.
Yeah. Well, did you have a specific bigger why, like why all of it mattered to you? I know you mentioned, okay, I want to go to the bathroom by myself, but was there something bigger too that you were holding
Oh
on to? I
yeah.
know you have like God, and I'm a believer as well. And it's like God gets me through everything. It's like God has a big purpose for me, has a huge purpose for you. But what was that thing for you that you felt, oh my gosh, I have to keep going because,
I'm so glad that you asked, did you have a why? Because that's so important to know your why. I realized I was in the hospital bed and the pain would be so bad that I'd be throwing up, and which wasn't fun to be throwing up in a porta potty or a bedpan. um, and I would just be in the bed going, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? How am I going to get up? How am I going to work again? How am I going to train clients? And I realized I was asking myself all the wrong questions. I heard this little voice, and all she said was mama. And it was my 2-year-old daughter. And in that moment, I realized why I was going to be resilient and I was going to be an example of resilience to my daughters. And I realized, when we ask ourselves how or what, it puts us in our head. But when we ask ourselves why, it activates the heart, it activates the human spirit, and the human spirit is powerful beyond measure. So, my why was I did not want my daughters to grow up with seeing me thinking like a victim. I wanted them to see me be the victor of my life and be an example of resilience. So when they went through anything hard, they knew that they would know that they can get through hard things too and that they can thrive no matter what.
wow. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, and I hope that anybody that's actually listening is really taking that in. Like, why does this matter? If you're wondering, how am I going to get through this, that, or the other, you're just like she said, you're asking yourself the wrong questions. Like, why does it actually matter to you? Dig a little bit deeper and you'll know. You're the only one that really knows. It's going to hit your heart. So, wow, that's
Mm.
powerful. Do you have some people that even in your life today that help and guide you through like what does that look like for you today to be able to continue that grit with because like you mentioned your pain isn't actually gone. It's like you're still going through it, but then you're still, building all of this. You're still a mother, you're still a wife. Like what does that look like to consistently be resilient today?
I'm just laughing because my husband loves to give me a hard time. He's retired. He's like, well, you're always telling me no. I wish you'd say no to your podcast or your clients say yes to me. He was just saying that outside. He was
That's
like, you
so
just say
funny.
no, no, no. And he's silly like that. And I'm like, yeah, but, and he's like, I took your daughter to the hospital. I gave your daughter her medicine. I'm like, you mean our daughter? I'm
Our
like,
daughter.
I'm like, as you should. I'm not gonna be feeling guilty about that. Like you're the daddy too. Like you can help
Totally.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so
Um,
funny.
But to be resilient now, let me tell you, I have had the hardest year of my life since my motorcycle accident with my health. I was really, really struggling with my health. I had this time last year, I had a treatment for complex regional pain syndrome that took a turn for the worst. I was back in a wheelchair for a bit. And just it hit me hard. The brain fog, the pain. I would literally go do a Zoom session or a coaching session and have to go lay down.
Mm.
Um, there was times when I slept for 2 days straight, and my husband would be like, "This is not like you. Something's wrong. You've
Yeah.
got to go get checked again." And so I feel like finally my health is, I'm starting to do better.
Mm.
I think, I've been really focused on health. Um, but I think to be resilient, I think you have to know what your values are and what your non-negotiables are. And
Mm.
so for me, I really make it a point to make sure that I'm taking care of myself mentally, spiritually, physically. And so every day I wake up, and you know what? For the first time in my life, I have this assistant who's awesome.
Aw.
And I never had that before. I was like, never had that. She is on my schedule and she has marked it out from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's my time.
Mm.
So nobody can book anything from 5 to 7 a.m. So that's my time to get up and pray and read and journal and organize my thoughts and intentions for the day and go work out and then come home and eat something healthy and then start my day. And
Mm.
so I think it's really important to, I had a friend of mine say, your impact is only as strong as you are healthy.
Mm.
And that really hit
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that too. Mm-hmm.
And I would just go and give and give and give until I was done, or I
Yeah.
was in the ER, with
Mm.
an infection. Like one year I was in the ER 6 times,
Mm.
and the doctor came out and said, "What is going on? You can't be coming back here all the time. Like,
Mhm.
you have got to take care of yourself."
Mm.
When we don't have our health, we really can't enjoy much of anything else. We can't, I mean, well, I couldn't be a part of my family when I'm like passed out on the sofa from exhaustion, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Wow. And then what does it look like to go through joy through the journey? And because obviously you have your new book coming out, which that's so exciting. Can't wait to read it. So what are some, what obviously you're not going to tell us about everything in the book, but what does that look like to even have joy when you're in those really hard times?
oh man, well, let me tell you, this book is it. I've been I turned in the final edits.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, okay, this is the final edits, and we're sending it to the printers. And I started like sweating because this book is it's raw and it's real. And it's not one of these books that's like, oh, I just have joy all the time. It's like, let me tell you how I learned to
Totally.
spark some joy along the journey, because I messed up so many
Mm.
times. And so I give examples of how I was driving myself into the ground and how I embarrassed myself and how I hit roadblocks, messed up, and how I got through that. And so, really, it's about, shifting your mindset and embracing the present moment and tools on how to be resilient.
Mm.
And so, I talk about everything from like the book. I'll just tell you, the book opens with me talking about how I really, really embarrassed myself on
Mm.
a live on social media. And because I was really struggling with my health and still trying to push through. And I'm glad that happened because it was a wake up call for me. Like, what's wrong with you, Amberley? Why are you doing this? You're
Mm.
killing yourself. And I thought, I am. writing a book about joy, I better go spark some. So I talk about the importance of really whatever you seek, you will find. It will come up. It's kind of like, when I was pregnant, I noticed there's pregnant people everywhere. You know, when I wanted a certain car, I saw that car suddenly everywhere. I never noticed it before, And so if you are looking for joy and you're doing what I call joy spotting on a daily basis and looking for things that are going to spark joy in you, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
And I will give you an example of something that, I actively do this type of thing
Mhm.
that helps you just spark more joy. So, we lost our dog of 14 years. She was my therapy dog, and
Mm.
she died. Even though she was old, the way she died was very unexpected, and I was devastated. I could not stop crying. I don't know if I've ever cried that hard. I did not know how hard that was going to be. It's still hard, but I thought I couldn't stop crying. And it wasn't like I wasn't trying to acknowledge the feelings, but I was like, I just want to be able to stop crying. I just need
Yeah.
a little bit of joy. And so what I ended up doing was I thought, well, it brings me joy to put up the Christmas tree. So I put up our Christmas tree earlier than I've ever put it up way before Thanksgiving. And I put it right where the dog bed used to be. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, now I'm crying again. I was like, you know what? I need to go be around people. I couldn't sit still. I was
Mhm.
like, I need to go out and smile at people and see them smile back at me. I need some joy. So I thought, I'm going to go to Home Goods and I'm just going to, everybody I see, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to smile. I'm going to see how they're doing. And do you know? I was on a hunt for joy. I was like, I'm joy spotting. So I walk into Home Goods. You know, the first thing that I saw what it was? It was a
Tell me.
sign that said joy. The
Oh,
first thing that I
that's
saw, a sign.
amazing. What a God shot, God
It
sign
was
there.
like, yeah, it was like a little God wink of
Yep.
God saying, you know what? Keep doing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
you're on the
And
right path.
that store was so busy, so packed, you could barely get through the aisles because it was right before Thanksgiving. And everybody I saw, I smiled, I said hello, and you know what? It did bring me joy. When you see
Mhm.
somebody smile, it's the small things like being grateful, you know, practicing gratitude. That's one thing that really can spark joy is gratitude. And I talk
Mhm.
a lot about that in the book and having a gratitude practice and having I have a group of ladies, we call ourselves the God Squad, and we text each other
I love that.
every single day 10 things that we're grateful for.
Oh, so
And
good.
yeah, and it helps because I know it's not always easy to be grateful, but there is always something to be grateful for. And the more
Mhm.
grateful you are, the more joy that you are going to spark.
Mhm. Wow, that's so good. What's the biggest thing that's helped you through your own pain currently? Is it the things that you were just talking about, like having your God squad, your looking for the joys, your family?
Well, I got in a lot of trouble for saying this on the doctor's TV. I had a lot of haters that came after me, actually. It was the first time I ever had haters. And I was like, I was crying about it. And my husband was like, congratulations, you have
I
haters.
love that.
Maybe you're getting your message out there. Good for you. And I was
Yes, good
like,
for you.
you know, but I believe it really starts with your mindset.
Mm, hmm.
It's how you look at your situation. Are you going to be the victim of your circumstances? Or are you going to be a product of your resiliency? And
Yeah.
you have a choice. And once you realize you have a choice, you take your power back.
Mm,
Look, you might not be able to control circumstances, but you can certainly like control the way that you respond and the
mhm.
way you think about it. And for me, even my husband before has been like, Amberly, you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to do so much. And I said, but I love what I do. And I could either work and do something that fills me up and, add value to other people by helping them, or I can sit here with my leg propped up
Mm-hmm.
and feel sorry for myself and focus on the pain.
Yeah.
I choose to focus on what makes me feel good. It goes way back to the same thing I did when I was a little girl. Instead of focusing on that pain, I focused on what made me feel good.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And if you could tell your younger self anything, what would that be?
I would probably say, trust your gut,
Mm-hmm.
because as a young girl, I knew it wasn't right what my stepfather was doing. My gut, everything said it wasn't right. But he said, no, this is right. This is how fathers teach their daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned, when you have somebody that's supposed to take care of you, that you're supposed to look to for protection, that's an authority, and they're telling you something, and they're telling you you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Your gut's wrong. It took me a long time to learn to trust my gut. And now, man, your gut never lies. Your heart might say something, your head might say something, but your gut never lies. And so I would say trust your gut.
That's so good. And if you were a gift to the world, what would you be?
If I was a gift to the world,
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean? Like, what would I be? Like,
Whatever way you interpret it.
oh, okay. Would I be a box of chocolates? No. A gift. I think that maybe I would be that little voice that would encourage them to believe in themselves and their potential.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. And what would you tell someone if they really wanted to go after their dreams, their desire, passion, or purpose? What would you tell them?
Just do it. Nike says it best. Just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? I say go for it. I mean, look, my whole life I've had people tell me. I remember when, you know, I wanted to try out for the dance company. I was the smallest, the scrawniest, the youngest. Guess what?
Mm.
I made it. I
Hmm.
remember when I said, I'm moving to Los Angeles. I'm going to be a professional dancer. Everybody was like, you're never going to make it. Good luck. Who do you think you are? A month later, I was dancing on an MC Hammer music video.
Oh
Can't
my gosh,
touch
so
this.
good.
Now I've had, people say, oh, you can't write a book. You don't own a computer. You know, guess what? Wrote the
Hmm.
book, got a publisher. It aired on the Today Show and became a bestseller. I'm
Mm.
only saying that because if
Go.
somebody like me with no college education can do it,
Mm.
anybody can do it. And I didn't
Wow.
have a computer. So do it. There are 81% of people that want to write a book, 1% actually do it. If you want to
Mm.
be a writer, start writing. So do the thing.
That's so good. And can you tell all of us what is up and coming or how people can find you? Anything that you have up and coming that we can follow along with?
Yeah, I want to see all of you in Dallas, April 25th and 26th. Once you come to the Unstoppable Success Summit, it
Tell us
is
more. Tell us more. What are we going to do at the
oh,
summit?
so it's well, I'm so excited about it. So I have an annual event, and it's for entrepreneurs who really want to level up, but it's not just some raw motivation. It's actual strategies and tools, and it's more intimate on purpose. So you make real connections, you make collaborations, you do podcast swaps, and it's the most positive, like faith-filled, amazing, beautiful souls that end up coming. This year we have, I don't, do you know who Trent Shelton is?
I do. He's so awesome. Oh my
I
gosh.
love
Oh
him.
my
So
gosh. Yes.
Trent Shelton, Renee Rodriguez, Leah Valencia Key. She went from homeless to having a successful jewelry line. She's on QVC all the time. She is
Oh,
amazing.
amazing.
um, Tamara Andress, Brooke Hemingway. We've got an MC for the first
That's
time this year. So look,
awesome.
I have to share that with you because I've always been the MC. There was one year I had 22 speakers, and I was the MC and gave two keynotes.
Wow. You're like, I
It
need
was a
somebody
lot.
else to get in here.
So now I have an actual professional MC, which I'm so excited about. Plus, my mastermind members are going to take the stage. I give them 5 minutes on stage to do like an
Oh, that's gonna
head
be
style talk.
special.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really fun. So that's coming up. I'm super excited about that. That's in Dallas, again, April 25th and 26th. And then my new book coming out
So we talked about we
February.
started with joy and we ended with joy. It's a sign.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
I love it. That's amazing. And then do you have a website or what are your social links that everybody can be connected
Yeah,
with?
I love connecting. So please reach out to me. You can find upcoming events, my podcast, my new book, the Unstoppable Success Summit at
Mhm.
amberleylago.com. And if you want to reach out to me, you can, email me, Amberley at amberleylago.com. And that is me answering you back. So sometimes it might take a little bit for me, but I do answer back. I love getting the emails and they mean a lot to me. I just know what it feels like when I reached out to somebody and they responded. It just, especially when you feel like you're kind of struggling or alone in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So reach out. And right now, if you pre-order the book, there's all kinds of free bonuses. So
Oh my
go
gosh.
pre-order that book
Yes. Yes.
and
Okay.
spark some joy.
I love it. Spark some joy. All right, everybody. That was an incredible episode. Please, please, please go follow her along. Go to the summit. Go buy her book. Go be a part of her world. She's incredible. Obviously, you know.
You.
So, thank you so much, Amberly. This was amazing. So
Thank
grateful to have
you.
you.
You're amazing. I know why everybody loves listening to your show because you're just so amazing and such a great interviewer. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.